Welcome back in episode 41 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. Me and Kyle today, and we're going to take a bit of a unique twist on going into playoff baseball here very soon. But first of all, how are we doing, Kyle?
Good, man. Hanging in there. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty great. I feel pretty confident about where the Phillies are right now. So I'm liking that. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to some playoff baseball. I mean, this is like peak sports season for me. My two biggest sports, baseball and football. And we're getting into a big weekend in college football and the NFL. Combine that with just about into playoff baseball. Amazing. This weather, fantastic. So yeah, I'm doing pretty great right now. But today, instead of talking about the AL West division race for probably the third time on this podcast and the NL Central NL wildcard race, yet again, we're just going to go ahead and rank the 15 teams that are in contention for a playoff spot. So obviously not that many teams are going to make it into the playoffs, but it's consistent of 8 NL teams and 7 American League teams. We excluded the Giants on the National League side because they're falling out of the race, and they have a worse record than the Yankees, and we're not even considering putting the Yankees in here. So I'm sorry, Giants fans. You probably would have been an automatic 16th on both of our lists anyway, so we went with a nice round 15 number and made it work like that. But yeah, we're going to work from the bottom up here, take a little time, discuss the teams. Kyle, coming in at number 15 for you, who you got?
So number 15, I have the Cincinnati Reds. So I hated putting them here, but out of this is the cream of the crop here, right? This is where it gets very, very important. I just think they're too young right now. I'm not taking anything against them. They're a damn good team, and I think they're going to be for years. I just don't think they're there yet. It's nothing against them, and I'm very excited for their future. But for right now, they're 15th.
Yeah. I mean, that's the team that I had there too. And it was close between them and the Marlins. But I think the Marlins pitching really is what does it for me compared to the Reds pitching. The Reds starting pitching is a bit of a question mark. All right. You have a lot of younger guys, but nobody in your starting rotation really, like who's made the bulk of your starts this year, has an ERA under 3.6. So that is not fantastic. The guys you've been counting on, Hunter Green has been hit or miss. He had a hit start just the other day, but he's had quite a few missed starts, and he's been injured as well. Andrew Abbott has been fantastic for them, but not as of late. He hasn't been as good quite as late. A guy you were counting on, Graham Ashcraft, has been injured recently. Just not quite the names you've been looking for the Reds. So for that reason, they're going to be last. There's plenty to love, like you said, about the team, and a lot of injuries too. Matt McLean's on the IL. Just not quite there. I'm not sure they're even going to make the playoffs. I wish, because it'd be exciting to see, but I think it was an easy 15 kind of.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Who you got at 14?
Okay, I think we're going to go different here just from your statement earlier, but at 14, I have the Twins.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Wow.
I, I'm not sold on them. I'm not. I mean, they're in a bad division. Pitching has looked a little bit better recently, but I'm not sold on that lineup. They're getting the free pass. Like I said, they won the division. Yeah, just for me, I'm not sold. I don't think they look very well. Royce Lewis just went down. I don't know how long that's gonna end up taking him. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't feel confident with them. I have the Twins.
Wow. I think that was a hint of Yankee disrespect right there. Just we've owned the Twins for so long, they're just a second thought to me at this point. Is that the case?
No, it's not, because guess what? They're here and the Yankees aren't.
That's fair. That's fair.
I mean, yes, the Yankees have had their number, but I'm not sold on the team. I don't think that they are that great. if the AL Central is a little bit more, in play, I we might not even have them on this list. That's just the way I look at it. I'm not sold on their pitching. I'm not sold on their lineup. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay. Okay. So at number 14, I have the Miami Marlins. As I did allude to them a little bit earlier, and that's just a bit of a taste of how much I think maybe our lists are going to look different here. There's a lot to like about this Marlins team. Listen, bringing in Josh Bell and Jake Berger at the trade deadline was huge for the Marlins. They needed a shot at offense, and those guys literally are perfect for that job. I mean, Josh Bell was not great offensively for the Guardians this year, but he turned it on since he's been with the Marlins. Jake Berger, I think he has like 20 home runs or something already. 10, no, 8 with the Marlins, but he has more than that on the season. 33 home runs on the season. That's a sneaky.
That's sneaky.
Yes, yes. Now 8 with the Marlins since the trade deadline. I don't know. I guess that's not great, but it's not awful, I think that this is exactly what the Marlins needed, but some bad news for their pitching rotation. Just earlier today, Sandy Alcantara had some forearm tightness, I believe, which is usually not a good sign at all. And they shut him down for the rest of the season, not even really without blinking. So that's a huge hit for, a veteran in that pitching rotation, which is kind of what you needed. It's filled with a lot of kids. Now, trust me, I like Yuri Perez. I like Jesus Luzardo. I like Braxton Garrett. But you almost need that guy. And listen, the reigning NL Cy Young winner, he is that guy. Whether he's having a good season or not, he's there. He's to be a leader on your team. So it's a bit of a hit, and I think they're just not quite there. I'm not sure if they'll sneak in or not. Maybe we'll see. I have a little more faith in some of the other teams, but that takes us to number 13, which is.
So now this is where the Marlins come into play for me.
Okay.
I had made this list before the news came out about Sandy, but I still feel confident about putting the Marlins ahead of the Twins. But like you said, you pretty much hit it on the head on that one. They're a young team. I love what they have, and they remind me a lot of the Reds. I think Jake Berger, like I said earlier, man, you hit it on perfectly. I think Jake Berger was one of the best acquisitions at the deadline. He came in there and made an instant impact. The team's young. I feel like Luis Arraez came down to earth a little bit. Still amazing ball player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but there was a question was how long can he keep that up? But for Marlins fans, you have so much to be excited about. Such a young team. That pitching core, dude, that can turn into the next, like you can have 3 aces in that staff when it comes to potential. But with Sandy going down, the veteran presence is lacking a little bit. And for that reason, that's why they're at 13.
Yeah, I think Sandy Alcantara, interesting conversation could be had there of, sure, his batting average is insane this year, but who's more valuable and who would you rather have? Kyle Schwarber, who's on some sub 200 batting average, or Luis Arraez? I mean, obviously, I'm a Phillies fan, but I think a lot of people are definitely taking Kyle Schwarber because with no runners on, let's say there's no runners on, a Schwarber solo home run, whatever, let's say it's every 15 at bats versus Luis Arraez single every 4 at bats, well, it'd be better than that, but every 3 at bats. If there's nobody on, that single doesn't do you any good if you're not surrounded by other good players who can drive you in. And who knows, you set yourself up for a double play like that too. So I think batting average is good. I'm not a not batting average guy, but it gets to a point where you need a little pop to go with it too. But he's had some recently, to his defense. Luis Arraez has. No, my number 13 though, the Chicago Cubs. They've kind of slid a little bit here recently. They had a tough series against the Diamondbacks, and they've got a tough schedule coming up. They've got the Braves and the Brewers. The the Braves aren't necessarily playing for anything.
Yeah.
I don't think they're in too much danger of losing the number 1 seed to the Dodgers. It's getting close, I assume, but I don't think it's too close. The
Yeah.
Brewers also aren't necessarily playing for anything, but you don't want to let your division rivals, get into the playoffs. You don't want to be that team, and no team is losing intentionally. Even the
Mhm.
Pirates just knocked off the Cubs, so I'm not sure. They're a little bit streaky, and listen, coming from a Phillies fan, that can be a good thing or a bad thing because you see that a lot with the Phillies. But I got the Cubs at 13.
Okay. Um, yeah, number 12 for me is the Cubs. Like you said, man, I think they're coming back down to earth. I like what they did at the deadline. Um, they didn't sell Cody Bellinger, which I was a fan of. Not as a Yankee fan, of course, because I wanted him, but as a baseball fan, I was a fan of. I like to see these teams stick with what they got, and if they feel like they got a chance, then yeah, you run for it, and that's what the Cubs did. I commend them for that. But like you said, their recent, skid and coming back down to earth a little bit. I don't know how far it's going to take them, but Bellinger needs to. I mean, if he wants to get paid what he is projected to get paid, he's got to step it up. And the same with all the other vets on this team. But for me, I think they rank 12 out of the last
Okay.
50.
Okay. My number 12 is the D-backs. And yes, I had all 4 of those teams, NL teams, competing for the wild card spot down there. Okay. I don't feel bad about it either. I think the D-backs team, the pitching can be elite. All right. Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly on their 2 best days each could be the best starting pitching duo in all the teams that we got on here. All right. On their best day, they could be. Now, recently, they haven't both been having their best days. Zach Gallen had that great start against the Cubs in that series I mentioned. I think that was only the one game they won in that series. But since then, not fantastic. And there's a lot to like about the D-backs team, but they dug themselves into this hole by going on that skid in August. And now they got to dig themselves out of it. And the question is just, was it too much that these other teams that are fighting with them? I don't know. I have a little bit of faith in this Diamondbacks team from what we saw in the first half. And right now they are in a playoff spot. Yeah. 1.5 games up. They're the second wild card team. So they would be facing my Phillies right now. But I would still feel pretty good about that as a Phillies fan. But yeah, I have some confidence, but I'm not sure about like a deep playoff run by any means for the D-backs. What do you got for number 11? I guess we're up to.
Yes. So my number 11 is the Milwaukee Brewers.
Mm.
Yes, this is kind of the same story as the Twins. For me, I'll take my money on the Brewers over the Twins. Obviously, I'm not taking anything away from this team. Me personally, I feel like there's 10 better teams in the playoff hunt. Mark Hanna, right? He has been shocking the hell out of me, and I love it. He's kind of put this team on his back ever since coming over. It's nice to see. I'm not taking anything away from this team. That pitching staff, when it's on, that big 3, best in baseball. That's just how it is. I just don't know if it's enough to keep up with the other 10 teams that I have in front of them.
Okay. That's fair. My number 11, Toronto Blue Jays. Maybe people will say it's a little low. I have more faith in the AL West teams than I do in the Toronto Blue Jays. And their offense has not been, what it should be. Vlad Jr. has struggled. He's had some injury concerns as of recently, and he's not been Vlad Jr. this year, frankly. Matt Chapman, not fantastic this year. He's going to be getting back on track hopefully soon. But Bo Bichette, is he back from that injury? I'm not even sure. But he was
yes.
Okay, he is. He was sidelined with a quad injury recently. Now, there are things to like about the Blue Jays for sure. Brandon Belt's been having a great year, one of the best of his career, and he's like 35. That's insane. Great signing. Now on the pitching staff, a lot to love there. Chris Bassett has been great. High-end Jin Ryu is having a bit of a bounce back season. He's been sidelined by injuries before, so he's having a great year as well. And I know missing somebody there, Kevin Gossman. Yes, yeah. He's probably going to finish top 5 in AL Cy Young. So there is stuff to like about this Blue Jays team, but it just seems like they have not performed in the biggest moments. We've seen it in the playoffs the last 2 years. I just don't have a lot of faith in this Blue Jays team right now.
No, that's fair. I agree.
Okay. Now we're cracking the top 10 here.
Yeah. So coming in at 10 for me is the Diamondbacks. You had touched on them a little bit earlier. I agree with you for sure. Yet again, it's just the same story as the Marlins and the Reds, man. I mean, they're too young, I believe. But I believe that they are a good young, if that makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like they have a chance to make some noise. Now, how much noise? That's the question. Lineup's great. Corbin Carroll's been on a tear, dude. He's so fun to watch.
Yes.
Pitching staff, that's where it worries me a little bit. Like you said, you got that big 1-2 there. If they're on together, that's dangerous. That is very dangerous because you can get ahead in a series 2-0 very easily. Now, after that, that's where it gets a little iffy, and that's what worries me. So for that reason, Diamondback fans, you got a lot to love, man. I mean, even their farm system, dude, that's looking good too. This team is going to be good for years to come. Just, I think they may have matured a little too early. So yeah, I just think there's some better teams here. So for me, I'm going with 10.
Okay. My number 10 team, Texas Rangers. And I was high on this team coming into the season. And boy, oh boy, I have the opportunity to look like an absolute genius if the Rangers are able to win 6 more games this season. If they hit 60 exactly, then I predicted it 100% correctly. I said their ceiling could be 90 wins. Now, it may take the Rangers scoring 12 runs before the 9th inning and being able to hold off the other team, though, in order for them to win 6 more games, because that bullpen has been absolutely atrocious as of recently. You cannot count on Aroldis Chapman to do anything. There is nobody in that bullpen that you can count on consistently, it seems like. They have more blown saves than they do saves in save opportunities, okay? That is not anywhere close to remotely good, and that's a playoff team. Very worrisome, because when you get into the playoffs, anything can happen. And you do not, the last thing you want is a shaky bullpen going into the postseason. Now you say, well, Matt, you have them above the Blue Jays. Yes, I do, because as I said, they might need to score 12 runs. Well, they've shown the ability that they can score 12 runs, okay? The guys up and down this lineup are insane. Marcus Semien, Corey Seager. They just got back Josh Young. And then as well, Adolis Garcia. They were both out with injuries. You got Nate Lowe. You got Evan Carter. Their catchers have been contributing. Like, Mitch Garver's having a decent season, and he's their backup. He's going to be on the bench. You got Jonah Heim, who's coming back from injury. He's doing great. I think this offense is awesome. And if you can get a good performance out of Jordan Montgomery, your old pal, if you can get a good performance out of Nate Eovaldi, another one of your old friends, actually.
Another one.
Even Martin Perez, he might be floating in between, long bullpen or a starter, depending how it shakes out. I think there's a lot to like about this Rangers team. I think their ceiling is high. Once again, I'll say that, but also their floor is low. They could just totally miss the playoffs. So that's what I got for the Rangers at 10. Number 9.
Number 9 is the Toronto Blue Jays for me. Pitching is amazing. There's no questioning that. Even without, I thought that this club was going to take a big hit with Alek Manoah in that whole situation, but it hasn't, right? Ryu came back and he looked like he did in with LA. He's looking good. Gosman, Barrios, just all of these guys, dude. They're contributing every single night. Now the lineup, that's a different story. How much can you rely on Kevin Kiermaier and Whit Merrifield? And, even I hate to say it because he's so exciting, but Vladdy, man, like what's gotten into him? It doesn't look good. And you mentioned it earlier, Chapman as well. Chapman's bat fell off. His defense is still amazing. I'm not going to take that away from him. This team defensively is a very good team. But offensively, that's where it hurts. And that's why I can't put them any higher. Maybe I have them higher on my list just because I'm so familiar with the Blue Jays and I think that they're still a good team. Do I think they're going to make much noise in the playoffs? I don't, because knock, knock, Blue Jays. I'm still waiting for that movie, by the way. I saw the trailer, but I guess maybe budget. The budget's still not
Writer's
there.
strike, right?
I guess so. It must be something. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but I still have to commend them for the things that they do right. But you're damn right. I'm gonna bash on them for what they need to be. So for me, it's the offense. Yeah.
Okay. My number 9 team, and this is why I gasped so hard when you said Minnesota Twins at number 14 or whatever.
14.
I have the Twins at number 9. I think you sold them very short. But who knows? I guess we'll see. Maybe they'll land somewhere in the middle. This Twins rotation has the potential to be a top tier rotation in baseball. Pablo Lopez, Sonny Gray. Sonny Gray is going to receive Cy Young votes. He's not going to win, but he's going to receive some votes. I bet he'll finish top 10. Pitching to a 2.84 this season. That's really good. Joe Ryan, elite. Not now, ERA is not everything, but it means something. 4.3, not fantastic, but I can live with it. You guys got guys like Kenta Maeda having a bit of a bounce back year. Dallas Keuchel had a no-hitter or a perfect game late in the game this year? Yeah. I mean, is this guy the next Cole Hamels is my question in terms of just pitching one team with another. I guess Cole Hamels really didn't have the tendency to pitch with a lot of teams there at the end. He just kind of stole their money for a bullpen. But Dallas Keuchel, I don't know that he makes the playoff roster necessarily, so I could just be talking about nothing here. But if he does, he's a wild card, that's for sure. You mentioned Royce Lewis, and boy, do I hope he gets back in time for the playoffs. That kid is exciting. He can hit the ball. Like people don't remember he was a number 1 pick for the Twins. He has the pedigree. He has been there. He's been riddled by injuries throughout his career. I think he tore both of his ACLs, or he's had 2 ACL tears, something like that. Mm-hmm. He's been riddled with injuries, but now he's finally up and he is mashing the ball. I mean, just through 58 games this year, 7 doubles, 15 home runs, 52 RBIs, and he's hitting 309. He's doing the whole average and power thing. Good for a 921 OPS. So, listen, he needs to come back for this team to be able to do anything, that's for sure. But I like some of the smaller pieces on the team, too. You got guys like Eddie Julian. You got Donovan Solano, a name I would never thought I would mention on like a decent team as a, not a key piece, but an interesting piece. But guys like Willie Castro, he pops up in our player of the game all the time. Dude hits he goes 3 for 4 with a double, 2 RBIs, a run, and a stolen base. Like every time you just tack him on for a stolen base. And honestly, I don't know what's up with that. He wasn't a big stolen base guy in his career, but he's got 32 this year. And that's sort of out of nowhere, seeing as the most he had was a 9 before that in the season. So I think there's a lot to like about this Twins team. I just really hope they can perform in the playoffs this year.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Okay. Number 8.
Yeah. Number 8, Texas Rangers for me. The only reason why they're not lower is this lineup. This lineup is dangerous, man. It is so good. And I'm kind of upset that I have to put them this low. Dude, I was excited for this team. This team has not seen much success in the last few seasons.
No.
They went all out. They brought in the last two off seasons, they spent over $1 billion, which I think is just so cool for Rangers fans. The only problem is, two of those guys are now on the IL, probably out for the year.
Yeah.
Can't say I didn't warn you, Rangers. Anyway, yeah, so this lineup is great. I love it, but you hit it right on the head with their bullpen. That's what worries me. This team cannot close out games to save their lives, like at all. And it's honestly just like, where the hell did it come from? Dude, when Chapman was in Kansas City, right, and he came back over to Texas, he looked like a stud. And it was pissing me off. It was hitting that nerve. It was hitting my Yankee nerve. That's what it was hitting. So the only thing that could constantly replay in my head is the 2019 ALCS every time I look at
Oh,
him.
man. Poor Kyle. I'm sorry for you.
Terrible, man. And when I saw him pitching like that, it hit that nerve constantly. But anyway, then he came back down to reality where, Yankee fans have been saying he has been for the last few seasons. But that's what worries me. And that's why I have to put him this low on the list. I wish that I could have put him higher. Just because I was so happy for this team, dude. I really was. They're young rookies mixed with the few vets that they signed to those big contracts. I think that lineup was just spot on. And now it's going to get spoiled by a terrible bullpen who can't close out games and a injury-riddled pitching staff. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. Yeah, there's pitching as a whole for the Rangers is tough to love, but the offense is very easy to love. So that's where you fall a little bit in the middle. My number 19 or 18, number 18, the Houston Astros.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. They're I guess they're a little low, on this list. Could this be the year the Astros don't make it back to the ALCS and don't make another World Series run? I think it could. The Mariners have had the Astros number this year. And that could be enough either to A, knock the Astros out of the playoffs, or at least B, make them have to play in a wild card, which is something the Astros have not had to do over the course of this insane run they've been on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a possibility. They got these last couple games here against the Mariners. I think it's another 2 series, something like that. Quite a couple games, like 6. There's a lot to like about this Astros team. I understand that. But it's not that I don't like them. I have more faith in some other teams, though. So maybe it's wrong of me to doubt the Astros again, but here I am doing it. So Astros number 8. Who's your number 7?
Number 7 is the Seattle Mariners for me.
Okay.
It was tough putting them here. It basically smack dab in the middle. Yes, they have been on a historic run as of late, and I'm very happy for them. But I expected that in the beginning of the season. That's kind of like my whole thinking behind it. Good young club mixed with some very good vets. There's a lot to like about this Mariners team, and just their fight, man. I think that's what is very commendable about this team. Even though when it was looking bleak and like this team was not going to do anything, they came out of nowhere, dude. And they are on a heater as of late. I'm very excited to see this team. And, who knows? We really don't know what's going to happen in the postseason. I think that's what's so exciting about the baseball postseason. But yeah, I think the Mariners can make some noise. But we're getting up there now. This is where the formidable teams are starting to come into play. So there was just 6 more clubs that I feel a little bit more confident in.
Okay. So my number 7 team, and I might be selling them short a little bit, but I'd rather sell them short than be high on them. My Philadelphia Phillies coming at number 7. Okay. I try to respect the fact that I am a Phillies fan and also balance that with reality as well. So that's where I fell with the Phillies at 7. This offense, when it's on, is it is blazing. Let me tell you what, Nick Castellanos the last couple of days, wow. But if this offense hits a cold streak, like we sort of saw in the World Series last year in the last couple of games there to close it out, we can see what it's like there. And then also on the pitching side, I feel great about Zach Wheeler. After that, I'm not always the most comfortable. I hate to say that, Aaron Nola, but I'm not the most comfortable with you anymore. Okay. Zach Wheeler should be getting the ball game 1 of any playoff game, in my opinion. There's no doubt about it, or in any clutch situation. After that, I mean, listen, there are things to like about Taijuan Walker, Ranger Suarez, all these guys. Michael Lorenzen's probably going to fall into a long reliever spot, piggyback kind of guy. And, honestly, so might Taijuan Walker when it comes to pitching or postseason rotation. But this Phillies team could make a deep run again, or their bats could go cold for the first wild card series, and Aaron Nola lays his egg, and they lose a gem in the first game against the Cubs 1-0, or against the D-backs 1-0, and Gallen and Wheeler go at it, and then the Phillies offense is just cold the rest of the series. I don't think that'll be the case, but it's a possibility, and that's why I have them at 7.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, they come in at number 6.
Okay.
I like the lineup, but the pitching worries me a little bit. I kind of have the same feelings that you do. Zach Wheeler has proved that he's the ace of this club. For some reason, there's some Philly fans who are still trying to say that Aaron Nola is. And look, I get it. He came up with the club. I watched him pitch in Double-A. Dude, he was a stud coming up, and I loved it. His 2018 season, man, that was a show. I loved watching every minute of it. I understand that he has ties. He hits the emotional vein for you. But when it comes to reality, it's Zach Wheeler, man. That's what it comes down to. Nola has not had the kind of free agent season that he has been hoping for. But after Wheeler, I don't know. I'm a little shaky. And yes, look, I understand they made the World Series last year, but there was no expectation on this club. None at all. Now they got some expectations. That's when it counts. And that's when I want to see this pitching staff show up. If you can give Walker the ball, if you can give Suarez the ball, and they shove, then yes, maybe I'll get behind the staff a little bit more. Lineup, they've been looking good. For some reason, I don't understand how the Phillies do it. Kyle Schwarber leading off, that is just no. Especially when you have Trey Turner, dude. I have been begging the Phillies to try to get Trey Turner in that leadoff spot. It doesn't make sense to me that Kyle Schwarber is a leadoff hitter. It is so stupid, but it works.
It works.
It works, right? Dude, Kyle Schwarber can start off the game with a blast, and bam, that entire offense gets behind him. And then that's all she wrote for the rest of the game. One pitch is all you need for Kyle Schwarber to get that Phillies offense going. It's insane how it works. I don't understand how the Phillies do it. I think it's stupid, but guess what? It's reality and it works. I love it. And when those little weird quirk things happen, hey, you got to stick with it. But I'm sorry, I still can't get over Trey Turner batting behind Kyle Schwarber. That is just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
The bullpen worries me a little bit. When they're on, they look great. They look untouchable. But they're too streaky for me. And it worries me a little bit. So pretty much this is the same story as the Rangers, man. The lineup looks great. But I trust the Phillies pitching a lot more than I do the Rangers. I will say that. And that's why, for me, they are higher on this list.
Yeah. Phillies, let's see this again. There. Yeah. Okay. We see that again, I'll be a happy Phillies fan. Coming in at number 6 for me, Seattle Mariners. Like I said, I'm not down on the Astros. I think the Mariners, I have a little more faith in them, though. Okay. Julio Rodriguez has been on an MVP second half tear. If there's an MVP of just the second half, he would definitely have a strong case, especially in the American League. This young pitching rotation, we've said it a million times, so I won't spend a lot of time on them, but they are fantastic. And throw in Brian Wu, who has been dominant lately. Okay, we didn't mention him in that big three we were talking about earlier, but
Yeah.
now we can toss him in there, and that is a very potent postseason rotation right there. I like the Mariners. J.P. Crawford underrated. Uh, Big dumper Cal Raleigh. He's gonna hit some clutch homers, you know that. Eugenio Suarez, he's gonna strike out a lot, but he's also gonna hit a lot of homers too. So I like this Mariners team. I think they have the energy this year, and I'm looking for them to make a nice postseason run. All right, the top five. We're here. Who you got at number
Yeah.
five, Kyle?
All right, so number 5 for me, kind of why I made that reaction a little bit earlier. The Houston Astros. Look, I'm a Yankee fan. I hate them. I hate them with my every being in my body. Not as much as the Red Sox, but I still hate them. Anyway, I can't count them out. I can't. I don't care how good, how bad they've looked lately. I'm never going to count out the Astros. And this club is just, they find a way to do it. I don't understand it. Jose Altuve starting to get back in his groove. Dude, just this lineup, man. I mean, it's good. And for some reason, their pitching staff, I mean, you got Verlander back in it. You get in the postseason with Verlander, that's his game, man. You're not winning that game. I'm sorry. Bullpen worries me a little bit. If I have a worry on this team, it's got to be the bullpen. But no, they find a way to do it, man. You can't count out Dusty Baker. You can't. He's got the experience. He's been in baseball for longer than I've been alive. I even think he's been in baseball longer than both me and you combined have been alive.
Probably.
So it's just the fact is I can't count this team out as much as I hate them. I can't, and that's why they're number 5 for me.
Okay, my number five team, the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was a little high, but you mentioned it when you talked about them at whatever it was, 12 or 13. This Brewers rotation, when it is on, is scary. And Brandon Woodruff has been shoving lately. Okay. Constantly 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 3 hits, no earned run, 1 earned run, and like 9 to 12 Ks. All right. We already know the story about Corbin Burns. He's an elite pitcher. Okay. He hasn't been having his best season, but if you ask me top 5, 10 pitchers I trust on these teams, Corbin Burns is pretty high up on that list. There's not a lot of pitchers I trust more than Corbin Burns, whether he's been having a good season or not. Yelly, revival season, okay, and we're not going to see the crazy power from Yelly anymore, but at least he's embraced being able to hit for contact. You know, I'll take a guy who's able to contribute at hitting almost 300, on the season or whatever he's at, over some guy who was not really contributing to the offense before. So I'm glad that he's back hitting 272 on the season, 17 home runs still. That's good offensive production. We'll take that from Yelly. Mark Canha, like you mentioned, amazing. Willie Adames is an very underrated offensive player, in my opinion. And he has the capability to borderline carry the offense himself. He has 24 bombs on the season. If he goes on a hot stretch, he's pretty good. You didn't mention, and I don't know if you forgot, we were trying to keep it short, Carlos Santana, who they brought over.
Yep.
He has been a big bump for their offense as well. And I think there's a lot to like about this Brewers team. We saw the young kids click earlier. Some of them have fallen off. Some of them have came back. Hopefully they can all mesh it together. I like the Brewers. I think this could be their year, actually. Could we see a Brewers in the NLCS? I think it's possible.
Okay.
Your guy, Josh Donaldson. Maybe he'll get a ring this year.
No. No.
I won't go that far, but I like the Brewers. I'm not afraid to shame. I'm not ashamed to say it. Now we're in the top 5. Kyle, your number 4 team.
Oh man. I hated doing this. I really did. Number 4, the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh,
Yeah. Um, so now this is no disrespect to these top 5 teams because they all have a chance at number 1, I feel. In everybody's opinion, I feel like this top 5 can be interchangeable completely. For me, I'm putting them this low strictly based because they are young. I Who on this team really has playoff experience? That worries me.
Kyle Gibson last year.
Yeah. So this team is so exciting. And I'm so happy for the Orioles fans. I really, really am. And I think this team is so damn good. But the pitching staff, I hate to say it, but it worries me a lot. The lineup has proved that it's fine. I have no concerns about this lineup. Hitting, uh, led by Adley Rutschman, dude, he's a beast. Cedric Mullins still doing his thing. Anthony Santander, the vets leading this lineup. Dude, it looks good, man. It really does. But like I said, pitching worries me a little bit. I don't think that they have the depth to make it all the way. That's why they're number 4 for me.
Okay. Coming in at number 4 for me, we got the Tampa Bay Rays. And I wasn't high on the Rays going into the season. And sure, it came back and bit me. All right. They've been great. But obviously that leaves the Orioles above them. And yeah, I trust the Orioles more than them. And I don't know. There's just something about the Rays. And when it comes to big moments, I fall more into the line of trust the guys, the guys, all right, who have been there, who have done that. And sure, the Orioles don't have players who have been there and done that, but they have guys. Okay, Adley Rutschman is a dude. All right, he is one of those guys. He's a superstar. You look at these other top prospects they've called up. Gunnar Henderson is elite. All right. On the Rays, they had one guy who was definitely Wander Franco was elite. Obviously, we know his situation. We're not going to dive into that, but he's not with the team. Randy Arozarena, listen, I bought into the Randy hype in the World Baseball Classic. It was insane. We were watching it firsthand. We were at some of those Mexico games where they beat the U.S. It's insane, but I don't know. The supporting cast, I like Yandy Diaz. I like Brandon Lau, Josh Lau, or Lowe, whichever one that one is, Lowe or Lau.
I think it's Lau.
Okay, Lau. I was right the first time. Catcher, Christian Bethencourt. I mean, Isaac Paredes. Listen, these guys are having good years, but when it comes down to it, I'm going to trust the dudes in the postseason, and I'm not sure those guys are dudes. They've been playing great, but just to me, I'm not sure they're dudes yet. But you're still at number 4, okay? Pitching staff, a lot to like there. Tyler Glasnow, elite. He is a dude. But yeah, that's my number 4 to the top 3, Kyle. Coming in number 3.
All right. So number 3 for me is the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah. I mean, lineup's great. Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. I mean, we can go on this whole tangent about this offense. I was worried about the Dodgers a little bit heading into the season. I was. They proved me wrong yet again. There you go, Mello. Shout out to you. But we have talked about this last time. Mello is extremely concerned about this. They're pitching, right? So the bullpen is shaky. It is. But we had talked about this with the Rangers. That lineup can give you as many runs as you possibly want, day in and day out.
Yeah.
The pitching staff, they're turning Lance Lynn. He's turning the clock around. I mean, yeah, the homers are an issue, but dude, if you can get any production out of Lance Lynn after what he did in Chicago, you're doing something right. They have a formidable stud who is young, Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller is going to wreak havoc on any lineup that he faces. I feel confident in this pitching staff, and if they can get Kershaw back fully healthy, ready for October, I think I
October Kershaw.
dude, say what you want about Kershaw in October. I understand. I do understand it, but I think he has got that on a okay level there. I think
Okay.
he has. After 2020, I think he's all right. Like I said though, I think if they can get Kershaw back, get that veteran presence in there, I think they're fine. I really do. This team is studded. I think they're okay. So for me, they're number 3.
For me, they're also number 3. So, yeah, ditto to exactly everything you said. Pitching staff worries me maybe a little bit more than it worries you, but this offense toe to toe with, if you want to say Braves have the best offense in the league, toe to toe with the Braves. Lot to love. Plenty of veteran presence on the offensive side for sure. All those guys have been there before. Like even the guys that they brought in have pretty much all been there before. So yeah, a lot to love with the Dodgers. They're my number 3 team. Number 2 for you would be
the Tampa Bay Rays.
wow.
So for me, I had said this in our preseason predictions. I will never count this team out. Ever, ever, ever. This team finds a way to do it year in and year out, and I don't get it, never will get it, but I commend them completely. So Kevin Cash has proved that he is the right man for the job, minus the Blake Snell pool in the World Series, but we'll forget that for what I'm talking about right now. This team has faced so much adversity that has not been talked about. I'm sorry, but for some reason, nobody's talking about the million injuries they've had to this pitching staff, including their bullpen as well. The adversity that they're going through with the whole Franco situation, they got guys, right? So you were talking about how you want a guy, right? You want that dude who is going to do it. They got him. I'm sorry, I fully believe it. Yandy Diaz has embraced his role. I think he's a star in this league. Randy Arozarena has proved in the WBC that there's no light bright enough for him. Brandon Lau's a stud. The rest, and just the supporting cast, dude. Paredes. I don't get it. Manuel Margot is still making noise down there. Just these guys, man. I think they're guys. I really, really do. I don't get it. I don't understand how they do it, but I will never bet against the Rays in the American League. I still have them number 1. I think they're the best team in the American League, and I don't know, man. I feel so confident about this team. It's the Rays, man. I cannot go against them. So for me, they're number 2.
Okay. Number 2 for me. So we have 2 and 4 flip-flopped. I have the Orioles at number 2. I think they're the best team in the American League. We've already mentioned all the studs, and I won't spend too much time on the Orioles because you talked about them a good bit. So yes. There's a lot to love about them. Adley, up and down this lineup. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, Anthony Santander, just to mention a couple of them. There's a lot to like. On the pitching rotation, there is some question marks. I understand that, and there's a lot of young guys and guys who haven't necessarily worked out in the past. That's where I feel the most shaky about them, but reason to be optimistic. Grayson Rodriguez, at one point the top pitching prospect in Major League Baseball. I'm not sure if he reached number 1 prospect in baseball. I think so, but I'm not sure. But they called him up. Wasn't fantastic to start the season. Sent him down, called him back up again. His last 5 games, just a little game log here for you. 5 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Next game, 8 innings pitched, 5 hits, 0 earned runs. He had a bad start in here, 4.1 versus Boston, at Boston, so take that into account. 4.17 hits, still only 2 earned runs, though. Game before that, 6 innings pitched, 7 hits, 2 earned runs. Final game in those last 5, 6 innings pitched, 1 hit, 0 earned runs. He's been an ace recently. I would have to assume he's their number one pitcher going into the playoffs. I mean, I'm not sure who else it would be really. I mean,
Kyle
who are
Bradish,
you gonna
maybe.
throw? Bradish, yeah, Bradish. You could make a case actually, definitely. Um, but yeah, between those two, Tyler Wells was great to start the season.
Hmm.
Um, hasn't been fantastic since. He's on the 40 man, so I don't know what's up with that. Sent him down. But there's a lot to love about this Orioles team. I feel pretty confident about them. Um, one more thing about them. Ah, I wish that they had Felix Bautista yet, but
Yep.
with that injury, that's tough. That's very tough. He was locked down, so a bit of a question mark there. I'm not sure how easy it is to just slide Yanir Cano into that spot. Um, hopefully, it can be a pretty seamless transition for Orioles' sake, but you don't know until you get there. Okay, our number one teams. The
The
only
Atlanta
team we didn't mention
Braves.
yet. Exactly. It's the Braves. Go ahead. Speak on them a little bit first.
I mean, I really don't need to go into too much in depth about this. It's the Braves. Their lineup is nasty. You got about what, 3 or 4 guys about to hit 40 home runs on the year. Um,
Ridiculous.
Absolute insane RBI total. I believe as a team, their offense ranks first in every stat except for stolen bases. Um,
But they just have the guy who has the most in the league on their
exactly.
team.
Yeah. So pitching staff looks good. Freed went down with an injury today.
Mm,
It's a blister, so I don't think it's gonna cause too much issues. Charlie Morton just left the Braves game as we're talking right now with
oh,
a right finger discomfort, I believe it was. Um,
that could be a blister though too.
it could be, yeah. We're getting into the dog days of the league where we're kind of just coasting into the postseason here. These guys have been pitching all season long, throwing 100+ innings, whatever it is. So I get it. You're gonna have a few bruises here and there. But no, this Braves team is amazing, dude. There's not really much more I need to say. I don't really need to rest my case here. Everybody knows. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Just the Brave starting lineup. Tell me somebody you don't like in this lineup. Tell me to stop. Sean Murphy, Matt Olson, Ozzy Albies, Orlando Arcia, Austin Riley, Eddie Rosario, Michael Harris II, Ronald Acuna, Marcelo Zuna.
I mean,
You didn't
I,
stop
I
me once.
I guess you can maybe make a case for Arcia, but the Braves are making him look great. Nicky Lopez, dude, he looks
Yeah,
amazing. I don't get it. I really don't. They're they're star-studded from top to bottom.
exactly. They have a guy who's competing for NL Cy Young. He probably won't get it. His ERA is a little high, but Spencer Strider, 3.73. If Max Fried isn't healthy, I mean, a blister's not really a reason to be concerned, but if he would go down, you feel great about Strider being your number one.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question about that. Bryce Elder, not fantastic as of recently, but he showed you
Yeah.
elite glimpses.
Oh
He was
yeah.
debatably NL Cy Young in the first month.
Hmm.
So there's a lot to love about the Braves. There's really nothing to not love,
No.
frankly.
I mean, all
Um,
you really have to know is when you have Michael Harris, who's basically a 300, I believe he's batting 294 on the year, batting ninth every single night. I mean, come on. You have your 9-hole hitter batting 300. Dude, no. Like,
yeah. Orlando Arcia, the one guy you could maybe write a question mark by, 268, 17 home runs, 61 RBIs, 753 OPS.
he'd be the third best hitter on the Yankees.
Yeah. I
Come
mean,
on.
exactly. Lots of teams would be begging for that offensive production from a shortstop, frankly.
Yeah.
Um, so nothing to not like about this team. Do you have questions about Raisel Iglesias closing it down?
I mean,
Maybe.
you can
Maybe.
make a case, but look at the other studs they got in that bullpen.
Yeah.
Just bring in another one. You're
Yeah.
fine. I mean, I get it. We're trying to fish for something here.
Yeah,
We're trying to find something that we can kind of throw something up in the air about. But dude, what is it? Because if anybody can tell us, please let us know. I'd
yeah,
love to know
yeah.
because I feel so confident about this Braves team.
There's nothing not to love. And my Phillies still took 2 out of 3 from them in the last series. So if that tells you anything. Maybe Philly should have been number one. No, I'm just kidding. But that was a good list. We didn't have the same. I'm
No,
glad though. I'm glad. I like that.
me
Uh
too.
so hopefully that was an entertaining episode for you guys. I think it was pretty good personally.
Yeah,
Just saying. But we'll definitely get the graphic out there so you'll be able to give us your thoughts on there. But yeah, thank you for watching, listening. Keep hanging around. Lots of great content coming from us. Postseason just getting started. So it's baseball's time to shine. Yeah, looking forward to October, baby. Let's go. We'll see you later.
later.